good, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new edition of El Boogie and the Bell. I am the Bell, of course, here with El Boogie. El Boogie, how are we doing?
Hey, doing great, man. NBA season's about to kick off. We're about a third of the way through the NFL season. A lot of championships going on with the MLB, WNBA. So the sports world is jumping, and I'm ready to get into it.
Alrighty, man. We are in week 7. You did inform me before the show. There's a lot of things popping around with all sports. I've heard a little bit of news about the MLB. Pretty much just an NFL and NBA fan at this very moment. Some cool things happening next week with the UFC. It's definitely going to be a fight to watch. We got Max Holloway going to bring the title back to us. But anyways, moving right into our show, segment number 1. You know what it is? It's El Boogie's NFL head coach takes. El Boogie, I see a team. What are we doing with that team? Let me know, coach.
All right, this week I'm going to be the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. Now, the Dolphins, they've been struggling this season. Tua obviously got injured early on, another concussion issue. Should he play this season? Should he not? It looks like he's going to ramp up and start practicing this week and be eligible to play next week. It looks like Tua is going to be playing or eligible to play this upcoming week. But as the head coach of the Miami Dolphins, I would say no. Tua, you're not coming back. You're not coming back to play this season. We'll talk about it in the future, but I'm going to keep you on the bench. And the reason why, even though the Dolphins have been struggling, we haven't been getting good quarterback play out of Tyler Huntley, it's not worth it. I don't think the Dolphins are a contending team this year, even though they got a win against the Titans, who are also struggling. They don't look like a contender. It doesn't look like it's worth the risk to bring back a Tua just to, maybe try to make the playoffs. It doesn't seem worth it. I don't think the team itself has enough talent to make it like, all right, please, we need you to you're the missing piece to come back. So I would keep Tua on the bench for the rest of the season and try to come back strong next season if he is going to play again.
See, I'm actually going to go completely against you, coach. I think he's exactly what they do need to make a push. I mean, you're not going to make a push past the Bills, who are not on fire, but is close to like being probably where they actually want to be this year as possible. Um, he's the starting quarterback making all the money. I mean, if he's able to go, he should go. And sitting him doesn't do anything for his brain. And I know brain injuries are very tough topic because you only get one of them, and there's not really the repair systems when it comes to taking damage to it. Time off's not going to help. He needs to play while he can. Yes, there's plenty of reason behind, you're at more at risk fresh off of one. You might be thinking as clearly fresh off of one. But if he's cleared to play football, he should probably play football because, like we've all kind of been saying, the next one could be it. The next one, there's no necessarily healing that needs to be happening after he's actually cleared. And if you're just going to sit on all those millions of dollars for hopefully next season, but then you guys have a start with another great season or a potential great season, and then boom, it happens again. I don't think you're serving him more justice. I think it's serving a little less.
I understand that, but you got to look at the landscape of the AFC. The Dolphins, they're not going to win the division, or most likely won't win the division. So now you're competing for a wild card spot. But that means you're also competing with teams like, well, one, the entire AFC North, where you have the
Mhm.
Steelers, the Ravens, the Bengals, all good teams. You're competing against, I'm not even going to say the Jets, you're competing against the Denver Broncos, a Los Angeles Chargers. I know that feels weird to say, but you're competing against them, and then you're competing against the Colts, who are second in their division. So it's like, all right, are the Dolphins going to outperform all of those teams, or even two of those teams to get that seventh playoff spot? I don't see it even with a Tua. So unless they were a game behind in the division, I would say okay, fine, we can make a push for it. But being where they are right now, the team itself hasn't looked good. The defense hasn't been great, which Tua will not affect really at all. I'd say sit him. I say sit him, let the team do what it does. Maybe we'll get a good draft pick.
So, coach, does your do you know how your draft capital looks next year? Early next year?
We have our first round pick. They got a first
All
round
right.
pick. So the
Okay.
worse the team, the better.
So, but what are you trying to get, coach? Are you preparing for the end? Or are
Well,
you
you
going to
definitely
give him
gotta.
more tools for success?
I think you obviously gotta improve more on the offensive line. So maybe use that first round pick to kind of help beef up your offensive line with a young, talented prospect. The defense, I think your pass rush. You've had Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips, who are supposed to be your prime edge rushers, and they've both been injured pretty much on and off all season. So maybe a young, healthy edge rusher at the top of the draft, or a really talented offensive lineman, whichever one kind of falls to you. That would be the move, in my opinion.
All right, coach, you got put in a horrible position, so I ain't going to pander too much more on you. The Dolphins are in a sucky predicament, but hey, it is what it is. I hope Tua's all right. I hope he can come back this season, but if it does make more financial sense for him to sit, so be it. Which brings us to our part. Well, it actually doesn't bring us to our part in the interruption, but part in the interruption. It actually brings us to a interruption that has nothing to do with something so serious. El Boogie, what was your NFL play of the day?
Oh, NFL play of the day. It would have to be Andy Dalton's pick six that he threw. Not that Andy Dalton did it. He threw it to Dante Fowler, who tip drilled it, caught it, and then he pseudo hurdled over Andy Dalton.
Mm,
Andy Dalton isn't a small man, but he cleared him and took it to the end zone for a touchdown. That's got to be my play of the day.
okay, okay. I like that. My play of the day is actually going to be in the Chiefs and Niners game. It was definitely a momentum shifter. It was a what was it? Let me see. Ignore interception. I don't know. I guess I don't have one. I didn't even have a chance to really watch too much football today, which makes me mad. I was listening to it all day, and that Chiefs game was one of the boringest things to listen to. But it got really interesting with San Francisco. So I actually don't have a play of the day. I'm gonna cut most of this part out. But with that being said, El Boogie, that was a hell of a play of the day. But back to the show, we're gonna get right into our trivia. So El Boogie, I'm gonna let you take this one first. Give it to me.
All right, Abel, with the NBA season upcoming, we got a lot of veterans, a lot of seasoned veterans. So, Abel, can you name me the five oldest active NBA players for this upcoming season?
Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Let's do when you come back. Gives me time to think.
Fuck.
No, you're good. I think you're back now. All right, you're back. All right, one, two, three. Let's start with the oldest player in the league, LeBron James.
LeBron James is number one. He turns 40 in December.
Let's is PJ Tucker's retired, right? PJ Tucker? He retired
PJ
last year.
Tucker is active. He is active. PJ Tucker is still active, and he is the second oldest player at 38.
Let's do Andre Drumming. How old is he? He has to be old as dirt.
Andre Drummond is not active.
Wow. I thought the Nuggets kept him for this offseason. Um how many
Think
do I have left?
guards. Yeah, three left. Three guards. Think guards. I think one of them you're not gonna get, but two of them I think you can.
Let's do Chris Paul.
Chris Paul. That's a good get. Good get. Chris Paul is 38, and he is number three.
Damn, he's getting it up there. Let's do Ricky Rubio. Is he still in the league?
Oh no, Ricky is gone.
I know he's old now, but I don't know if it was like this last year or the year before. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus.
Think guard. Think long time. He used to be on the Raptors for a long time. Then he went to Miami. Now he's on a new team.
You said he went to Miami?
He went from Toronto to Miami, and now he's on the Sixers.
Kyle Lowry?
Kyle Lowry, good get, man. Hey, he's 37. I think he doesn't seem that old, but he's old.
He doesn't seem that old. Al Horford.
Al Horford is 7 on the list, but he is not number 4.
You're gonna
I'll
have
let
to
you
give
get
me
one or
my
two
last.
more. Yeah, I don't think you were. It's Taj Gibson.
Taj Gibson still in the league?
He is 38 years old. He is
Whoa,
less than a month. He's a month older. I mean, younger than Chris Paul.
that's crazy. That was the top five.
That was 5.
That's all that's left, man. I do wish Melo was still in the league, but what is he like 40, about to turn 41?
Yeah, he's
Right before we get into my trivia, is there anybody you wish was still actively playing from this generation, that 03 and up era?
man. 03 and up. Oh,
The first one that comes to my head is Dwight Howard. I don't know if he's this old, but I know he's
he's
not active.
he's overseas. He's
Yeah,
overseas. I think we saw like some young people who had injuries and they retired early, like well one Derrick Rose, he retired this offseason.
that was
So
huge.
that's sad to see. And then Victor Oladipo, who when he was young and on the Pacers, he was tearing it up. It's the injuries. The injuries took him out.
Man, that's crazy. Hope his singing career takes off. I remember that when he took the Heat to game 7, you remember they went all 7 games all throughout the finals. I mean the playoffs and still won. Oh no,
Mm-hmm.
then they got blown out by the Warriors that year. I remember that year. But I remember Victor Oladipo, he went crazy that series. But yeah, shout out to him. All right. My trivia. El Boogie. Let's go right back to the NFL. Okay. We're gonna do our top 3. We did this last year, we're gonna do it again this year. Week 7, we're gonna do our top 3 leaders and 3 statistics. We're gonna do passing yards, rushing yards, and we'll do receiving yards. El Boogie, passing. Who are your top 3 passers? Active.
I think Geno Smith is up there right now.
Geno Smith, unbelievably, is at 1985, sitting at number 1 of this list.
Yeah.
Shout out to
So
Geno.
Geno,
8 touchdowns, 6
what
interceptions, though.
about? Yeah, he's been turning it over for sure, fumbling too. Um, is Kirk Cousins in the top 3? I feel like that'd be a sneaky one.
Kirk Cousins isn't that sneaky to me just because he's had like 2 very explosive games, and it's not like he's not producing in their non-explosive games. They had a really rough game today. I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit later. Kirk Cousins, 1,830 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. That one actually kind of took me out because I'm like, it feels like he's having the 14 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. So the 10 and 7's a little concerning after those explosive games. All right. All you need is number 1, number 3. You're 1-2 right now.
What about Joe Burrow?
Oh, somebody might be cheating.
Probably no.
Somebody might be cheating. You
I
got
was
one,
just
two,
thinking
and
of
three.
players. I was just thinking of players who I know have had big games this season. My next guess was going to be Jaden Daniels, to be honest.
Your next guess should be CJ Stroud, number 4. But going back with Joe Burrow, we got 1759, 14 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, but he has the worst record amongst the people that we just named. So that's very, very interesting. Let's see fumbles. I don't. It's not showing me fumbles right here. But hold on, let me switch over position. All right, rushing. All right, give me my rushers.
All right, rushers. Derrick Henry got to be at the top.
Easy money.
Easy.
Number
Jordan
2,
Mason,
I
just because
love
he's been
number
tearing it
2.
up for my fantasy.
Who?
Yeah, Jordan Mason.
It's unbelievable. Like for him to be so productive. Had a very productive day today in a tough loss. A very injured team tough loss. All right, but Derrick Henry, 704, 119 attempts, 8 touchdowns. Crazy. 8
He's
runs over 20 yards. 2 runs over 40 yards, which is ridiculous for a running back. Um, Jordan Mason, 667, 128 attempts. He's getting carries too, man. They're talking about a McCaffrey-less team, and he's getting this many carries. He's really holding down the squad. All right, 3
All the
touchdowns.
McCaffrey carries went to him.
Every last one. I mean, that shows the production of their running back. Even with Debo as well. Debo takes a lot of runs out the backfield as well. But he had eight. He has eight rushes over 20 yards. Give me number 3. Should be a little easy.
Kyron Williams.
No, he is not.
He's been
He
consistent. That's why I thought
not top.
him.
He's
What
right outside.
about Kenneth Walker?
Not top
Seattle.
10
He's not top 10.
in rushing yards now.
Oh, what? Oh my
I think
goodness.
you're forgetting like another huge transition for a team, and like he is the spark of the team, kind of like a Derrick Henry.
Oh, is it Alvin Kamara?
Oh wow, Buzz, he's been there. He is
Am I
the spark of
struggling?
that team. Let Alvin Kamara.
Saquon.
There you
Saquon.
go. Alvin
Okay.
Kamara's
Yeah.
number 8. Wow,
Oh yeah.
number 8.
Okay.
Oh no, he's
Yeah.
number 9.
I forgot. I forgot Saquon was balling.
Yeah, Saquon's going absolutely stupid. He has 658 for 108 carries, so he has the shortest out of the top 3, or the shortest amount of attempts. 4 runs over 20 yards. He has 0 over 40. And I remember when they spanked they didn't spank them, but when they beat the Saints, I remember he had like, I thought something that was over 40, but I guess it was under 40. But he had some crazy runs there. Maybe it was a catch. But yeah, and then yep, that's the guy. All right, last one. Moving along to
Receiving might
receiving.
be tough. Receiving might be tough because a lot of the stars have been hurt. Um, Top 3. Let me get. I don't even know where to
I don't know if
start.
you're
Let
gonna
me
get
get.
any of this
You don't
shit.
think
This
so?
is the
Wow.
worst I've ever seen it.
All right. How is Justin Jefferson doing?
Not top 10. Not top 20.
Uh,
Top 20. Top 15.
Top 15.
He's
Okay.
right next to Trey Flowers.
Uh,
15 and 14.
what about?
Shout out to Alvin Kamara for being for top 15. Like, okay.
Hey, it's the catches out the backfield. That's kind of his bread and butter.
Going crazy.
Dang, son, I really can't think of who's going crazy because like all the offenses I want to think of, they haven't really been throwing it like I thought they would be.
Poor Tyreek Hill.
Oh yeah, no, I know he's in purgatory. Nico Collins. Is Nico Collins top 3?
Not top
No.
20.
What?
Collins? No.
Oh
Not
my
top
goodness.
15, excuse me. He's top 20.
You might have to start giving me hints, dog. I am spacing.
Let's go with.
What about his name? Jamison Williams from Detroit.
Let me make sure I got. Yeah. Jameson Williams. No.
Dang.
Ooh, I might have messed up. My bad. I was on receptions. Let me go to yards.
Okay.
All right. Start over. This completely changed the list. Justin Jefferson is number 4, so you're still wrong. And as a matter of fact, we can literally just start this one over. El Boogie receiving, top 3 receiving, top 3 receiving in yards.
Nico Collins is Nico Collins.
Nico Collins number 3 with 32 receptions, which is relatively low, but 567 yards.
That's what I thought. I had a feeling. Justin Jefferson's number 4. What about
Justin
DK
Jefferson
Metcalf?
4 with 33 receptions, 531 yards. I mean, imagine only 30 receptions, and you're amazing hella numbers. Like, that's crazy.
What about DK? Is DK in the top 3?
And Metcalf number 2, 35 receptions at 568 yards, 7 weeks in. I think they had their bye too, so that's pretty impressive.
DK, I think he got hurt today too, unfortunately, but or bad for my fantasy, I should say. And Number one. That's all I'm missing is number one.
Number one is a relatively easy one. He has the most touchdowns as
Oh,
well.
oh. Who am I blanking? I feel like I'm about to. Man.
They're not
Um.
impressive at all this year. Just as far as finishing games, they're an impressive team, just not finishing games.
Is it Jamar Chase?
It is absolutely Jamar Chase with 39 receptions, 620 yards, 6 touchdowns. He leads in touchdowns. Nobody has the edge on him. Alrighty.
Who?
Well, there's that. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna cut that one part out, but all good. Anyways, moving on to our topics of the day, we have reached the El Boogie. El Boogie, I will be going first. This is gonna be a very, very quick topic. Are we gonna hit the snooze button on the Jaguars, or are we gonna give them more interest, being that Trevor Lawrence has increased his play over the past 3 weeks? Technically two, but in the past 3 weeks.
I think I don't know. I think we're gonna pause on. I think we are gonna hit the snooze button. Unfortunately, unless there's like a crazy shift and they go on a run where they win out the rest of the season, I think we hit the snooze on the Jags just because they're so far behind in the division. Yes, they got a win over New England, who isn't a great team. I think as we see them, they're about 1 or 2 bad weeks away from being not only eliminated from playoff contention, but also from their coach getting let go. So I don't think this is the season for the Jags. Good for Trevor Lawrence if he's been like actually playing like a $50 million quarterback, but it doesn't really seem like it's making much of a difference.
Yeah, the reason I said it's the past 3 weeks because I kind of let us like slide past that Bears game. A couple awkward things happened in that game where I can't put all the blame on him, let alone the team. It was just a really tough loss in London. Came back again in London, did their thing. Yeah, I'm definitely snoozing this one, but I do like the increased play as far as, adjusting the quarterback market for what you should be doing. They literally just flipped last week, which is good because if you're getting beat down by the young man and now you're beaten down like you're supposed to, like the person who's getting paid the 250 million, that's what we want to see. So I like how he reversed that role coming from a tough loss to the Bears. So I'm still gonna hit the snooze, but at least you're playing for your money, and at least you guys could come back to Florida with something to look forward to. Being a 2-5 team, Jesus, yikes! 2-5 team. Your only ones are the Colts and the Patriots. So, but strength of schedule, they got the Packers, Eagles, Vikings, Lions, Texans, Titans. We'll cool down at the Titans. The Titans and Jets after that very scary 4-game streak they're about to go on, and most of those are away. 3 of those are away.
Like I think best case scenario they win one of those 4 games. So I think their season's kind of wrapped. I think so.
Yeah, they're about wrapped. So with the snooze, but Trevor Lawrence, keep playing for your money. Not playing for your money. Keep playing for the money that they already paid you, and they're gonna pay you. So good to see you out there balling, though, man. You had a good game today. All right, moving quickly from that. That was just my quick one because I watched that game this morning. That's a game I actually did watch. My other topic was injuries. I listened to most of the 49ers game today. El Boogie is actually closer to that Bay Area. What is the feeling in San Fran, San Fran, that region, about this super injured team who actually replayed their Super Bowl today? And I mean, the tell of the tape is injuries. It's like I can't even judge the game as much as I would be able to judge it if they had half of what the active roster was, at least the active stars were. So we had Debo out first quarter. We had Ayuk had a very tough injury. It just a very awkward injury.
Yeah, he caught a ball, got hit low, his knee. It was his knee. Had to get
Yeah,
carted off.
we only want the best. Hopefully, coming back within the next couple of weeks. Definitely taking at least a week off, regardless, it could be a sprain. Just take it off. Sheesh. Um, and what else we had? We just had injuries all over the field. How do the 49ers move on with all these injuries? They're still a good team, but now we're
Well,
talking about your fifth, sixth, and seventh receivers on your roster. So how do they move on from here?
I think it's been kind of sad to see all the talent and how talented this team is on paper and see it not come to fruition. I mean, Christian McCaffrey's been out all season. Obviously, they're hoping he comes back later in the season. Losing Brandon Ayuk, obviously, you don't want to see it. It looked like it has the potential to be a very major injury with the knee. Like, worst case scenario, that could be season ending after he just got that huge payday right before the season started. But the upside of it is one, your defense is still pretty healthy, and your defense is actually played pretty well today, even though they lost. Debo, he wasn't injured; he had an illness. He had an illness. He tried to play and just couldn't do it. So he'll be fine. I think in a week from now he'll be Debo. George Kittle is healthy. Juwan Jennings was out this week, but he'll come back. So I don't think from an injury perspective, I don't think they're doomed or they should hit the worry button. Ayuk wasn't even performing, to be honest. Like he was having a down season and he could be out for the season. So they weren't counting on him anyway. Jordan Mason got banged up last week. He looked okay. So I don't think it's going to be the injuries that are going to give them trouble. I think it's going to be the quarterback play because Brock Purdy, he did not do himself any favors for trying to get a 50, $60 million extension today. 3 interceptions, bad
Uh,
judgment, underthrows.
your fifth,
That's
sixth.
the issue.
I'm not saying that they weren't all on the same accord, but I'm just saying he had to adapt to your fifth, sixth, and seventh person. And not only did he adapt, but like literally in the game. I'm not saying that the decision making that he had wasn't good, but we don't know how much deeper it is when it is like you are working with a brand new crew,
Well,
somewhat of a brand new crew.
I'll push back on that because they put in a young guy in receiver. I think his name is like Cooley or Conley or something. He breaks a run past the Kansas City corner. He has a touchdown, and Brock Purdy underthrows him. It was still a big play for a big gain, but if he actually delivers an on time and accurate and on target pass, that's a touchdown. That's a walk in touchdown. you
Yeah.
know? So that's not on the receiver. The receiver did his job. He got free. He got open. Brock Purdy just couldn't hit him, and he was underthrowing routes all day. So it's not the injuries with them. It is definitely Brock Purdy and whatever was up with him today.
So with Brock Purdy, it's like that was the most unfortunate thing is how much he got brought back down to earth because a big talking point was is it Brock Purdy or is it the amazing talent? You know, if Cam Newton had that talent right now, would Cam Newton not be able to do any and everything he wanted with that type of talent? There are obviously quarterbacks who don't have nearly as much talent as the Niners had, and you see how Brock Purdy performed without that talent. So it is a big a testament when you're going in for $260 million, a quarter of $1 billion for a contract. So I just wanted to bring it up because I'm like, you look very human today. Because all the superhumans weren't available. But with that said, El Boogie, it's your topics. Give them to me.
All right, we'll stick with the NFL first with this one. Hey, Bill, which teams do you think need to embrace the tank? We're about a third of the way through the season. We have a feel for who the contenders are and who the contenders aren't. But which teams do you think need to say, all right, guys, let's pack it up, let's plan for the future?
You
All
want to
right,
finish your point or you want me to
I'm
get to
starting
answer?
over. I'll start over.
Okay.
Um, Abel, which teams do you think need to embrace the tank? Their season can't be saved at this point. We're only a third of the way done, but we know who the contenders are and who the contenders aren't. So, which teams do you think need to plan for the future and just go into full tank mode?
Well, now that I have my nice Google standings up, I don't think the Patriots should embrace the tank as much as wanting a top 10 pick. They should be fighting to be the 11th. to 15th worst team in the NFL. And if you end up being the eighth or seventh worst team, I don't know what their picks are. I would embrace that. I think that would be a great position for them to embrace. I like the way that Drake May played today. Not is it Drake May? His last name's May. Yeah,
Yeah,
Drake. All
Drake
right.
May.
I like the way he played today against the Jaguars. I like he started his first two drives off perfect, and then of course that rookie quarterback syndrome kicked in. I think that they should strive for 5 to 15, which 15 is a lot further from than five, the fifth worst team in the NFL. So not them yet. The Raiders. I really think that they should embrace it completely because I do believe they have a good coach. I do believe for what it was, they have faith in their coach, but there's some ownership and management issues. And I would love for him to be put in the best opportunity because he got the worst opportunity last year and they did the most with it. Now we're in a new year and it seems like there's more management and ownership issues going on with these players. Now, if it is the coach, that will be prevailed. But as far as somebody who I want to have a better opportunity, if the Raiders tank this year, which they're in the AFC West, I don't like the Raiders. I'm just saying, from their coach and the couple dogs that they do have left on that team, I do just want them to have a better chance. Like, look at the quarterbacks they've started this year. They've benched quarterbacks after starting the game perfect. It's rough, you know. They beat the Ravens very early in this season just off of grit, just off of not giving up. So we're giving up now that people are really starting to get into the swing of things and finding out what type of team they are for this year. Embrace it, develop, and give people something truly to look forward to with some new draft picks and a system that could actually be built instead of given. Um, the Browns, absolutely no need to anything to be said. The Bengals are the exact opposite. They're sitting third in the AFC North. I still think any team in that division can make the playoffs. Shout out to the Ravens for making a true comeback. Starting so rough in the season 0-2. The Titans, absolutely no context, no context. The Giants, absolutely no context. The Dallas Cowboys, you guys don't get out this easy. You guys do not need to embrace the tank. You guys need to be the Dallas Cowboys who just paid your quarterback, who just brought back Zeke, who have a good defense, who's not playing at a great defense level. Yeah, y'all the last folks on in the NFL that I'm expecting or who should be embracing the tank. Absolutely not. Forget about it. You guys take every piece of this nine what is it, 7-9 season. You eat this 7-9 season. But you don't the tank is ridiculous. Absolutely not. The Rams can't nope. The Rams and Cardinals, absolutely not. I'm putting them in the same boat as the Cowboys. Nope. You guys have no excuses. No excuses at all. I don't want to hear about teams, injuries, which the Rams are very injured. I do not want to see the Rams tank this season. You guys still can be a great competing team that beats the best teams, even if you don't make the playoffs. Beat the best teams. One or two of the best teams by the end of the year. So don't worry about draft picks. Play good football. The Bears, absolutely not. You're 4-2. I mean, this division, Jesus Christ, the AFC North looks amazing. Your worst team is 4-2. So I'm excited to see all of these teams play interdivisional, which we had a hell of a banger today with the Lions and the Vikings. We're definitely going to talk about that. And the Panthers, no context. The Saints. I want to start with them, El Boogie. What do you think?
With the Saints, I mean, I think the Saints are a very old team. They were super injured. I'm not going to give them too much flack for losing to the Broncos because they were missing, I think, 6 offensive starters. So, not going to give them too much flack for that. The Saints, no. I think there's enough talent on that team. When I think of a tank, I think that means you don't have enough talent on your team to compete. I think the Saints have talent. We saw them those first 2 weeks when they put up 40 points against the Panthers and the Cowboys. Um, but then injuries. So no, I don't think the Saints should tank right now.
All right, who's on your list? I just went to the league.
My list, I mean, I think you got a pretty good sampling, man.
How
Unlike
you feel
you,
about
I
that Rams
actually
and
do.
Cardinals situation?
The Rams are injured and very young. So I honestly, I think the Rams are already in the rebuild. They're already there. They may not
But
have
when should your team stop
announced it,
playing
but they're
good
there.
football? I never want your team to stop playing good football. The Panthers don't need to play good football because they literally cannot play good football. Andy Dalton got them one solid win, and that was the depletion of the Raiders, is why I'm starting to put the Raiders in that. You know what? Just tank it then. That's one game.
Yeah, I mean,
Everything
the
else is
Rams are in a tough
horrible.
situation. The Rams are tough because you have Matthew Stafford, who's not your QB of the future, but he's a good enough QB for now. I don't see that team tanking, especially with Sean McVay as their coach. They're coached too well. They're coached too well to tank. Good enough quarterback. They're not tanking. I think the same case for Arizona. Too well coached. Quarterback is young, and he has potential to be a top quarterback. So no, I don't think they're tanking. The Raiders, when it comes to this trade deadline, which is only a couple weeks away, you guys need to be big sellers. I think you
Fires
already
though.
sold Devontae, Max Crosby, star pass rusher in his 30s. He's got to go. He's got to go. You got to recoup picks. You got to get all that you can so you can rebuild for the future. If I'm the Raiders, everyone is for sale except for Brock Bowers. Everyone
Absolutely.
else, everyone, Brock Bowers, he's staying. He is a Raider. Everybody else, y'all are for sale. So I think the Raiders need to be big sellers. They need to embrace the rebuild. Go get a quarterback you can actually depend on. Um, and I think the Titans. I think the Titans, even though they made a lot of moves in the off season to bring in players, they got L'Jarius Sneed, they brought in Calvin Ridley. They brought in offensive talent, but even with a quarterback change today, the offense wasn't speaking. So I think I think they need to be sellers. They have players that can be sold for picks. They obviously need a quarterback. Um, and I'm gonna leave the Panthers alone. We all know they're bad. We all know.
Yeah, I mean, they
Uh,
need a. I don't even know what they need. They need a new city. They could. I
they
mean,
need
I don't
they
know if
need to
North Carolina
relocate.
got hit that hard during the hurricane and stuff,
I
but
think they got hit more by the first one, and the
yeah,
first, not Helene, but the one that was right before.
I know like Riley
Um,
and stuff got hit hard. I don't know about Charlotte.
I don't know the Panthers. I think the Panthers they set themselves back a couple years. So I don't think it's like I don't think it's like a tank thing where you can come back in a year or two and be relevant. I think the Panthers are in a bad spot for the next 4 years probably.
It'd
So
be
yeah, I
cool
don't
if
I don't
if the Panthers chose for the next couple of years to be a place where NFL players exit. So you get your older veterans who can't get those maxes. They're not playing for veteran minimums, but you get like a Andy Dalton, and then for the next couple years, you just make them kind of like this cool little veterans team. Like these are people's exit strategies while we get ready for our rebuild. Because with no picks for is it just this year or next year as well for the next 2 years?
I think they also gave up their first rounder this year.
Jesus. So for
Or no,
let's
no,
say
no, no, no. Next year, no, next year they have their first. They have their first.
okay, so let's say like I would love for them next year to be the team to help people kind of exit out, and they really prepared to just invest into their future for the next 3 years. But yeah, they set themselves far back, especially if the quarterback trial is over forever. Which I mean, I think we're all pretty comfortable understanding it is.
If anything, too, another team that I think that should tank the Browns,
I didn't say the
especially
Browns.
today. I don't know. Maybe you did, and I zoned out. But
Yes.
the Browns, especially since Deshaun Watson got injured today, most likely ruptured his Achilles, so he's out for the near future. I think they need to embrace the tank and try to reset their team because you can't get rid of Deshaun, but you can start taking steps to build for life after Deshaun. So I think they need to. I
So
think they need
why
to be
did Dorian
sellers.
Thompson play over Jameis Winston?
Jameis Winston was not active today. I don't know why, but he wasn't even suited up to play.
So Jameis Winston played last week. Oh, who did they play today? They played the Bengals last week.
No, they played the Bengals this week.
It says Jameis Winston played. Did he get hurt?
Today, he did not play today.
Player stats: Joe Burrow, 181, 2 touchdowns. Jameis Winston, 67 yards, 1 touchdown. That's why I'm like, who is this Dorian Thompson Robinson?
Wait,
Did
he
Jameis
did. He did play.
He might have got
Oh,
hurt.
maybe Jameis. Maybe Jameis was third. No, because they put in Dorian Thompson Robinson. They put him in first after Deshaun went down.
Winston
And oh,
offense.
I
Sean.
guess he threw 2 picks, and they were like, "All right, we've seen enough out of you."
He threw 2 picks today?
Dorian, yeah,
Oh my god! I mean, come on now. The Browns,
yeah,
you can only pay so much attention to it. All you do is hear the worst thing about them. But I mean, it looks like Jameis played. Like, he might have finished the game and got it closer, 14-20. What, 8 or 21? 21. I don't
yeah,
know. I hope Jameis
yeah.
starts
I mean,
next week.
he should, and he probably will. I mean, the Browns they already gave away Amari Cooper, so I think that's the beginning of the tank. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Zadarius Smith. I don't want to say Miles Garrett, but imagine what you could get for Miles Garrett.
Everything you ever wanted. But it's the Browns. Like, what? Who wants to go there? But you'll get everything you ever wanted.
Some draft capital. Hey, it's about the build, man. Get a bunch of young, talented, cheap players to offset Deshaun's contract. Once Deshaun's done, then you go get your next quarterback.
Mm. Shout out Jerry Judy. He got 18-yard reception. He's been really quiet this year, but I mean, you could only imagine why being at the Browns. Anyways, let's go to something a little bit more interesting to close out the show. Did you see, hear, or feel the energy from the Lions and Vikings game? I kind of missed a little bit of that fourth quarter, but I watched the whole fourth quarter. Amazing, amazing story, amazing line, back and forth, crazy. I thought that game was awesome.
That was like a playoff caliber game, like two heavy hitting teams. Um, honestly, before this week, I didn't really take the Vikings all that serious because I was like, all right, I want to see them play up against a really talented team. Seeing them go down to the wire with Detroit, who we know is a good team, I'm like, all right, the Vikings are good. Like on paper, they don't seem great, but honestly, the Vikings are a well coached team. Their defense is actually pretty top notch. Um, so yeah, I don't know. They're both two good teams. That division is brutal. I would hate to be in the NFC North right now,
Unless
but
they all make it.
that's what I think. I think we're gonna see three. I think that they're gonna take up the playoffs. I
Yeah,
genuinely
3 teams.
do think that right now at this point in the season.
And just
But
to
yeah,
give him credit, I just want to give Sam Darnold credit for changing his NFL path. After the Jet stints, horrible. The Panther stint, horrible. The Niners stint, bench. The Vikings, solid starting quarterback. So definitely fit into the Viking system, and that's not something that we see somebody do. What, 7 years into their career? So shout out to Sam Darnold for figuring it out. Shout out to the Vikings for getting what could be. We're gonna review this at the end of the year. I would say that was the still quarterback of the year. That's what the Broncos have been trying to do with a lot of quarterbacks for a lot of years, and it doesn't always work out. For God's sake, we have Zach Wilson on our roster right now, but I, I shout out to Sam Darnold and Geno Smith.
I think what I think about this game though, I think the game today showed Sam Darnold's deficiencies. He made a lot of really good decisions, but they had the ball end of the fourth quarter. All they need to do is get a first down, maybe two first downs, and they win the game. They couldn't do it. I think that's the difference between a good quarterback and an elite quarterback. An elite quarterback is going to find a way to get that final first down so you can bleed out the clock and win the game. But Sam Darnold kind of froze in that last drive. So that's why I think he's playing great season, like you just said, but I think we saw his ceiling. Like we came up against his ceiling today.
I want to say ceiling. The number one thing I'll say for Sam Darnold is I've never seen him play this good against this good of a team. So if you crumble at the very end when the pressure is at its absolute high, I think that they can live with it, knowing that they probably got the best still of what quarterback pool that they had. So hey, with all that being said, El Boogie, I think that just about wraps up another episode of us. If you want to take us out.
Hey, once again, appreciate y'all for tuning in to El Boogie and the Bell. Make sure you check out the full video on YouTube. Check out the clips on TikTok. Leave a like, leave a comment, leave a subscription if you don't subscribe to us, which would be crazy. But yeah, we appreciate y'all once again, and we'll catch y'all here in the same time next week.
Absolutely. Peace.